up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Growing Pains, how to run a profitable window film business. I got Matt here per usual. Today's gonna be fun. I'm actually gonna jump into the conversation a little bit. Matt, why am I jumping into the conversation?
Because we're going to talk about marketing, and what do you do for all my companies is marketing. And we're going to talk about 5 things that you can do to help market your window film business. Things that we do, the things that we've learned, things that BMG, the marketing company that John works for, that helps out all my businesses, that they do. And so we'll go back and forth and talk about some of these things. Hopefully you're doing them already. If you're not, here's some tips. But here's some of the things that you can do to help grow your business.
Okay, so number 1 is your local presence. There's a couple of things that we do. It's pretty simple, but most people have a Google My Business. If you don't have a Google My Business, I would encourage you to create one, because that's how most people come across a local business, is by doing a local search near me, and then you usually pop up. There's obviously Yelp. Yelp is something that automatically is created based off your Google My Business, so you just got to claim it. It's pretty simple. And then the website. It can pay dividends if you do it right. Matt, anything you want to add to local presence?
Yeah. So a website, I mean, we bought a bunch of companies, with sites that were like less than great. And The funny part is what I've learned in this window film business is you could have a really successful company with not a great website, because but you could have a really, really successful company with a better website. And so I think and today's day and age, with Squarespace and these basic shells that you have that you can build out, you don't need a lot to make a really good site. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Right. And so you really encourage, just make it simple, make it clean. Think about the customer when you're creating the site. As a customer, what do you want to see? Don't think about it as an owner. Think about it as a customer. Send it to your friends. Say, hey, if you went here and you wanted to do window tinting, like, what would be easier for you to read? What kind of things do you want to have on the website? Have information about the company. Like, for sure, I go all these sites and like, well, I want to know a little bit about the person that I'm giving my, like coming in my house. You know what I mean? Like, this is a residential commercial, like they're coming to my business, coming to my house, I'm letting them in. Like, who are they? And it's these like blanket, like, we've been around 25 years. Okay, who are you? Who are you? So I think people want to know now, who owns the business? What's your history? And most, a lot of these people watching like have really great experience and history in the business. Like, show that. I'm less interested in, I've been doing it 25 years, because you could have sucked for 25 years. Like, always people say, I've been in business 25 years. Like, it doesn't mean you're doing great, right?
Right. Totally.
But show your knowledge in the business, and show that like you're going to step up in your customer service and all the things that people want. So I just feel like putting a face to a business, sometimes I think that's important, because it helps, it might not drive sales necessarily, but it will validate when people come to your website and go, you know what, this guy seems like a good guy. He has good core values. Like, we have core values on our website, which is great. What are your core values? Doesn't have to be crazy, but like, I believe in great customer service. Okay, great, core value. Okay, if I read that as a customer, oh, that's cool. I like that.
Right.
So little things like that. So
totally. Just to add to the website part, at BMG, we're a marketing agency, so we constantly are working on content for Solar Art's website, which allows us to just broaden our audience. So it's not necessarily local presence, but at a minimum, you need to have a website that is clean, easy to read, like Matt said, so people can call it. They know how to call you. They know how to request a quote, whatever type of capturing you're trying to do. But eventually, if you get more complicated, you can get into creating content about educating your customers, like Matt said, which has done a lot for us. I mean, the traffic has grown 700% since the last 2 years. So we're getting a lot of traffic, but that takes a lot of time and effort. So at a bare minimum, again, it's Google My Business, Yelp, and then update your website. So number 2 is answering the phone. Matt, you have a funny story about this one.
So we do on the job, which is we go out to on the site when the job's being done, and we film the job, the installer's doing it, and we also interview the customer. So last week I was on one, or it was a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to the customer. I'm like, hey, thanks for letting us come in and do your job, and hey, how'd you find us? And she's like, well, I called 3 companies, none of them answered the phone, and you were the first one to answer the phone. I was like, cool, we got the job. So basically, if you just answer the phone, you'll get jobs. That's it. Literally, just answer the phone. And so one of my pet peeves in business is whenever I call a business, whether it's contractor or whoever it is, If they don't answer the phone, I'm just like, I hang up and I call somebody else, which is exactly what she did. That's the behavior of a customer. And I think, you know, I know it's hard when you're small because you're doing everything. You're the sales guy, you're the installer potentially. And so it's hard to answer the phone, but you have to get your answering service. You know, there's like, you know, Ruby receptionist or something like that. But just, you have to have somebody answer that phone. If it goes to voicemail, chances are they're going to hang up and they're going to call somebody else. So yeah, just answer the phone. It was a funny story. Yeah.
And it's actually part of the first one. If you focus on local presence and people are finding your Google My Business and they click call and you're not answering the phone, well, then you're
defeating the purpose.
Yeah, you're defeating the purpose. So, so number 3 is attracting new customers. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The simple ways to do it to kind of just start is running some Google ads. Most people start there. Most people try and maybe it's complicated, they fail, but we encourage you to keep trying and optimizing your campaigns. The other part is Facebook ads. So Facebook ads is the cheaper medium and channel to prospect and find new customers. Obviously that can get a little complicated, but I think attracting new customers, those are 2 good ways to attract new customers. And Matt, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, no, so I was going to talk about, I don't know if this is the one we're talking about, branding versus.
Oh, that's the next one. Branding is the next one.
Okay.
Yeah. So Google, I'll talk really quick about Google ads. Google ads is, you know, make sure you have a budget. We're going to talk about budget in the next one, but make sure you have a budget and make sure you understand where that budget is going to. Most people probably start with, most people probably start with a blanket campaign saying, hey, we do X service and we're just going to go for this local region. But you're really not being able to control the dollars in your account. So our recommendation is to know where those dollars are going for a particular service or region. Just making sure you understand how those campaigns are actually built out so you can scale them.
And I would recommend finding a company to do it for you, because like we have a marketing company, like Johnny and I have 4 or 5 people in my marketing company, and we actually don't even do it. We outsource it for someone specifically with that, because it's very, it gets very complicated and it's very time consuming. And so even though I have my own marketing company, I choose to actually outsource it. And so and it's not that expensive. I forget how much it is, Johnny, but it's like, it's not that much. Obviously you're paying for the ads, so you have to have a budget for that. But it's not that money. It's not that much money to pay someone to do it. But for sure you should do it. It's not end all be all in our business. I don't think you're going to build your business on Google AdWords. That's just my opinion. You'll get more residential for sure versus commercial running Google AdWords. Is that because, you know, residential people are you know, online searching more than commercial is what we find. The majority of the traffic coming through is residential. But it is a way to definitely grow revenue and get some ROI.
Right. Number 4 would be branding. So a lot of people think branding is one thing, a lot of think it's another thing, but Matt, there's 2 topics. So there's your budget for branding, one thing, and then budget for marketing. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. One of the things I learned was, you know, you should, if you're going to have a marketing budget, you should assume that there's separate buckets. One bucket is for, I'm going to spend $200 and I want 300 back, right? I'm gonna ROI, and you want to be able to specifically measure that ROI, i.e. Google AdWords, or say you put a flyer, like bring this flyer in for a discount and you get the flyer back, and how much do the flyers cost, like specifically ROI marketing, right? So that's one bucket, but you shouldn't combine that with your general branding marketing budget, which is just you know, maybe potentially doing, say you did like a magazine ad, really hard to measure, but at least you're just getting visibility. Or you're doing maybe a Facebook campaign, but it's just showing an ad. It's just saying, hey, learn more about this window film, learn more about that. Really hard to measure. You're just getting traffic and getting awareness. So awareness and that budget against branding and marketing is different. So you can't say, I'm going to do $500 on awareness and get, I need that $500 back. You have to just hope that you're getting the views. You have to measure the engagement you're getting with that. But it's, you know, it is important as you grow and scale. Like, you want to get your name out there. You want people to be familiar with your brand, your name, and who you are. And so, but I do think it's different buckets. One is, I need to make X amount of dollars back from this investment. And one is, I'm just going to put this, I'm not going to expect any money back, but it's for the long-term growth of the business. It's more long-term.
Right, totally. And one of those long-term investments that you can do, which is a simple change, is wrapping your vehicles with some branding. Like Seth Godin says, be the purple cow. make some sort of design and services and some sort of branding on your vehicle so people can start to identify, oh, I know that brand. I've seen them on the highway. I've seen them in my neighborhood as other people's houses. It's just an easier way to kind of get a brand out there. And it's a long-term investment and it's going to pay back because they're going to recognize you in the future.
I was behind real quick to that. I was behind a detailer because I love auto detailing, and we have the company, and it was I forget it was like Albert's Auto Detailing, right? And I'm behind the van, and it says Albert's Auto Detailing, and Albert's has his phone number, and it's like, we'll come to your home or office, and I'm like, cool. I know the name's Albert Detailing, had his phone number, and I'm like, oh, they'll come to my home or office. That's cool. Like just in that back of that van, I'm like, he just told me everything about that I need to know. It was perfect, you know? And so I was like, cool. I like Albert, you know?
Simple investment and it pays forward. Yeah. Last one is your outbound approach. So there's a couple of things we do, you know, so calling and staying in front of your customers. So Matt, you want to talk a little bit more about that one?
Yeah, just, I mean, in general, like, you know, most of our business and most of, you know, in this industry is repeat and referral business, right? So the phones are ringing because you're doing jobs, you're doing hopefully a good job. And then that, you know, people are referring you, or they're repeat customers, or they're just, the phone is just generally ringing. And so sometimes you get complacent and you're like, oh man, it's great. I'm just handling the business that's coming in. And you forget, well, you know, you need to generate new business. And so there's handling the business that's coming in and there's generating new business. If you don't generate new business, you're never going to grow. You're only going to just churn from your existing business and repeat referrals, and your volume will stay the same. And so I think the outbound approach, you know, i.e., I mean, there could be cold calling involved, there could be email campaigns, you know, just reaching out to, you know, construction companies, property managers that you don't do business with, you know, or anybody that you don't do business with, is really important to develop new contacts and relationships, because you're always going to have people fall off. There's always going to be a churn. So you have to develop that new business in order to, you know, stay ahead of the growth.
Right. Totally. Just to add to that, think about how saturated this industry is. You have mom and pop shops left and right of you guys. And so the competition is really big. So if you are not making some sort of outbound approach, calling people like Matt said, emailing people, and you're just relying on repeat business, that repeat business will eventually start to diminish because mom and pops left and right of you might be stealing those business, right? They might be, you know, finding the same bid and bidding against it and having a lower offer than you. And so you lost that bid. But if you maintain a relationship with them and focus on building a good rapport, your outbound and your repeats should stay and sustain. But then you layer in everything we just talked about and start growing your customers. Now you have a successful growing business.
For sure.
Yeah. So that was fun. So those are the 5
things. That's all we have to do.
That's it. That's all you have to do. It's pretty simple, straightforward. Go do it.
Cool.
So those are the 5 things, the 5 marketing things you can do to grow your business.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. And if you need any help, you know who to call, right? No, you don't. No. You're good. You'll get it.
We don't have any outside clients.
No, we can't take on anymore. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next week. See ya.
Cool. Bye.